So, welcome back to Talks by Tim, Stories by Tim. Um, Today we're going to talk about some sports, some of the things I've done with that. I just, last night I woke up and I came across, things to watch, and uh, HBO Max had just put up 16 Candles. And one of the actors in there was one of the actors in Vision Quest. And Vision Quest, if you don't know, is a movie about amateur wrestling in high school and the vision of one guy to get down to a certain weight to wrestle the state champion. That brought back so many memories of when I was in wrestling, when I had to lose weight, and I did wrestle a state champion. I only got into the second period with him before he pinned me. I was a competent wrestler. Was I a great wrestler? Probably not. That's the thing. When I look back at my athletic history, that I was competent, but not excellent. And that goes through all the sports that I did. I mean, going through the Christian day school that I did, I mean, we had track and field events. Yes, I did get a couple first places in some of the track and field events, um, but not all of them. I ran cross country when I was there. I trained with a young lady that was much better than I was, and we pushed each other very hard to be the best we could be. I ended up getting third um, at the final event for cross country, which if you know cross country, truthfully, it is a 5K. Um, and that was down in Williamston. That was up and down hills. So it was a lot of, you know, putting much more effort than what I trained for, because when I trained, it was on flat ground. Flat ground is a lot different than going up and down hills. But I was very proud of myself that I got to third place for that one. Uh, my last year there, well, okay, we also did slow pitch softball, which my dream was to be the catcher, and I got to play center field. I I had some speed on me when I was younger. I don't know if it would be the same thing today. I kind of hope it would be, but it may not be. But yeah, my favorite player for the Tigers in the 80s was Lance Parrish. And so I wanted to be a catcher. So, yes, we had a tournament, and I ended up being the catcher for the day. I had shoes on that were a little too small. I ended up losing toenails because of the pressure that was on my toes from that day. But it was a great experience. Great experience. And then my last year, we played soccer. Well, I watched soccer already on TV. And so I knew something about the sport. And they made me middle halfback. If you know anything about soccer, that's the guy who's doing the most running because you're both on offense and defense. I wanted to be goalie there too. I did get one game where I was goalie. Nothing got by me during the time I was at goalie, but running that much, it's hard to be the one that scores the goals, to be the one that sets up people for goals, because you're always in the back of your mind, you're always, I got to think about what if the other team gets the ball. It's one of those things. So my freshman year of high school, we went to England, so I wanted to play football, but unfortunately we were in England when football tryouts and practice were happening. So my freshman year, I did not do any fall sports. Well, then I'm like, I started watching professional wrestling, and I'm like, this is kind of a cool thing. I kind of get it, and I want to do it. So I got into wrestling that fall. Did not win a single match my first year of wrestling. Spring rolled around, and we had a play that took priority over sports for me. As most of you know, theater is more of a priority to me than anything else. And when I have an opportunity to do theater over doing anything else, theater's always going to win. So, sophomore year, let me think back. Fall. Did I do anything fall sophomore year? No. Yes, I did. Fall my sophomore year. My gosh, how can I forget this? That's when I did play football. I played on the JV team. We were amazing. We had a stacked roster. I was not on first team. I was on second team. The one thing that I'm thankful for about that experience, though, being on second team, when we were practicing for going up against a different opponent, I got to learn that different opponent's offense. One of my dreams at some point in my life, I would love to be an offensive coordinator because I know so many different formations, so many different ways to play football, so many different things you can do. I just, to this day, that's one of the things I really want to do. I really want to be an offensive coordinator. So if you're out there looking and you hear this video, hit me up because I'll tell you what, I've got stuff up here that I still want to do. I used to draw up plays when I was in college of things to do. I actually coached our intramural flag football team in college, and some of the plays I came up with were were amazing. Did we do well? Kind of. Did we win? Most of the time, but we did not win the league title. I will say that as well. All right, so that's fall of sophomore year. Winter, obviously, I wrestled again. That's when I got my first win. When I wrestled and in practice, we had a lot of stuff, and in looking back at Vision Quest, a lot of the stuff we did was similar. We had a game called Sharks and Bait, and when you were the bait, everybody one at a time would come at you and try to pin you, and when they pinned you, they became the shark. That was, I don't want to say a great time. Being shark sometimes was not, or being bait sometimes I should say, was not the best time to be had, because you got no rest. You had to give your 100% to that, but it was also great training for us as well. And looking back at that, I realize that now. I hated it at the time. I hated it. But now that I look back, yes, I see that that was a great way to train us. One other thing I did when I wrestled, I would always practice against guys that were 30, 40 pounds heavier than I was, so I could get used to moving around those bodies. So when I wrestled, um, I could, was better able to control the guy that I was wrestling against. I don't remember, out of the 4 years I wrestled, how many wins I had. I do not remember that. I do remember my first, but it's one of those things that it's more about the experience. And I will tell this to any high school athlete: don't worry about the wins. Think about the experience, what you're going through, what it is that you're experiencing, and that's going to stick with you for the rest of your life. As I said, was I a best baseball player? No. Was I the best wrestler? No. I did wrestle against a state champ once, and I made it into the second period against him before he pinned me. Getting in the second period with a state champ, giving my ability at the time, that was amazing. Did I want to win that match? Absolutely. I wanted to pin a state champion. That was my goal that day. But was I upset by the result? No. I held my own against him for a good period of time. All right. So, spring of that year, I decided to do track. And I did a multitude of different events. I did the 100-meter dash. I did the 110 hurdles. I did the 200-meter or 200 yard. I did the 400 yard. I did the 220 hurdles. I did the 1 mile. I did the 2 mile. I did high jump. I really pushed myself that year to try to find what my ability was best at. And truthfully, I never found it. Never found it. I would say the longer distances were the better thing for me. Um, I mean, I hit just over a 6 minute mile. I forget what my 2 mile was. I forget what my high jump was. I forget my times on the other things as well. That's something that's slipped by my memory. But yeah, and I did long jump too. That's another one. That's the other one I did. But you know, you got to push yourself sometimes, and um, this is for more of my younger viewers. Try your limits. Try to find your niche. Try to find what you are good at. That's what I was trying to do when I did that. And I never found that niche when I did that, unfortunately. Like I said, longer distances were probably more in my wheelhouse. But yeah, just, you know, younger viewers, that's what you need to look at. Find your niche. Find your niche. Find what you're good at. All right. So that was sophomore year. Junior year, I decided to do crossing country, which once again is 5K. I got myself down to just around an 8 minute 5K, which I think to this day is amazing. I got to run at a lot of different places. Yeah, it was a great time. A great time. Loved it. Winter, once again, wrestling. Once again, we've already talked about that. So, spring of that year, I did not do anything. Nintendo had just came out. And one of my friends who lived right down the street from the school had a Nintendo system. And I ended up going over there pretty much every day after school and doing Mario Brothers, doing that pro wrestling game. That pro wrestling game, truthfully, is still to this day one of the best ever made. And I'm not going to lie about that. That's that and WrestleMania 2000 are probably the two best wrestling games ever made. And if you don't know what it is, go and check it out. Other than the arcade pro wrestling game that was out in the late 80s, that one, yeah, I can kill you on that game. But anyway, that spring, I kind of took time off from sports and, did video games instead. All right, next year. In between my junior and my senior year, I worked at Crooked Creek Golf Course. With one of my first paychecks, I went and bought myself a set of clubs. I still own them. They are still my clubs. They are some of the best clubs that I've ever had a chance to use. Are they the best clubs? Probably not. But they were Spalding Executives, which were a knockoff of Pings. They've been regripped a couple of times now. As I've owned them now for, I bought them back in 87. So, do the math. But, working at the golf course, I was able to golf for free. So I had learned to golf when I was 12, and I, what are you doing? And uh, where was I going? Sorry, cat distracted me. But I had a love for golf, but on 9 holes, I would be shooting 70, 80 on 9 holes. Well, that summer I worked at Crooked Creek with the free golf, having new clubs. All of a sudden, I dropped down into the low 40s. So my senior year at school, I decided, let's do the golf team. Instead of football, instead of cross country, I'm going to do golf. And I'm glad I did. We played at Kimberly Oaks, which unfortunately is no longer in existence. It was a tough course. The first 7 holes had water on them. Well, first 7 of them, I should say, had water on them. It's also the place I came the closest to hitting a hole in one. It was hole number 6. It's got a couple drop downs because of tee levels, and I came within inches of the hole. Never had a hole in one. I've had a 300 in bowling. Never had a hole in one in golf. Had a lot of good things that have happened to me with golf. I've had, amazing holes. I've had bad holes. There's some other stories about my time at Crooked Creek that I will get to. But no, a lot of good stuff about that. But one day I will never forget. The coach and our A team was 1 hole ahead of us, and I thought they were clear. So I hit the ball, and I killed the ball. I hit that ball harder than I think I have ever hit a ball before. And it hit a tree right in front of my coach, and it bounced back, and he ducks down and he looks back at me like, what the heck, dude? Why did you do that? And I'm like, I'm sorry. I thought you were clear. True story, man. True story. There's a shot in the yearbook of me chipping out of a hedge by the clubhouse. I kid you not. There is that shot in there. So my senior year of wrestling, I did not complete my senior year wrestling. I got a little upset with my coach. There was an incident that happened at the Saginaw match at MLS where I got slammed, got the wind knocked out of me, and he didn't even raise raise an objection to it. And I hurt after that. I did. I lost the match, which, truthfully, the guy I was wrestling against, I should have been able to pin. Given my knowledge and his experience, but that illegal slam was what pushed me out of that match. I still, to this day, wish that that wouldn't have happened. The best I've ever done in wrestling, I finished fourth in a tournament in Montrose. Um, so I was a competent wrestler. Was I the best wrestler? Hell no. Hell no. I was never the best wrestler. But, I did my best. I held my own in that. So, spring of my senior year, once again, we had a play. So, of course, that took priority. That was only the second play when, in 4 years of high school, you only have two plays. That's more disappointing to me than my sports career. I will say that. So, all right. So let's talk after the fact. Um, so after high school, uh, I, um, played in a fast pitch softball league with my church. I going through all of that baseball, I had never been hit by a pitch, and I lose count of how many pitches I was hit by in that fast pitch softball league. I think it was either five or six. I may be wrong with that, but those did not feel good. Um, I did a softball tournament with my church as well. That was the one where I had a pastor bowl me over as catcher. I got him out, but he did bowl me over. Yeah, that was full on. I was blocking the plate. I had the ball. I was perfectly in the right, but yeah, wow. What a moment. What a moment. And I will not forget that. I will not. I will also not forget sliding in head first to home plate and getting tagged out either. Yeah, yeah. I was wearing glasses. They tagged me in the head. Glasses got bent. Uh, wow, good times. Good times. Uh, but after after that, I got into bowling. I married into a bowling family. Uh, Day after the wedding, my father-in-law asked me, "Well, what are you doing Monday nights?" And I said, "I don't know." He says, "You want to bowl?" So from uh, 98 until 16, I bowled well, almost every Monday night. I did get a few nights off. I bowled more games than most of my teammates. I even got phone calls sometimes. I remember specifically one night I was supposed to be off, and Kristen answered the phone, and she yells from the other side of the house, "Hey, Melon, they need you!" Those of you who get that reference, I appreciate you. Because that is a great movie. And if you get that reference, I appreciate you. But no, yeah. It got to the point, truthfully, where I was starting to get burnout. I just had bowled so much, so many games, so many weeks that yeah, and then I got back in the theater. The theater is what kind of got me away from it. Um, it's not to say I don't love bowling. I have, I'm looking at them right now. I have two city team championships on the wall. I have a mixed doubles championship on the wall. My trophy that I got from the city doubles championship, unfortunately, one of my cats knocked down and broke it, and I no longer have that, but I do have that to my credit as well. I've also been to national championships. I've actually won money at one of the national championships for double bowling. That was down in Baton Rouge. I that was last year. The ABC was in existence. It's now, um, what it is now. Um, and I decided not to cash a check. It was $20 in some odd sense. I'm gonna get that laminated. That's gonna go up in my trophy wall as well. That, you know, bowling at nationals is a totally different experience. That is, you don't have your house shot. You've got a spot maybe this wide to hit your mark and to hit the pocket. It's very different. Very, very different. I will say this also. I do have one 300 game to my credit. It was on St. Patrick's Day, of all days. And I still credit the Guinness for that. But I threw 16 strikes in a row. I finished the previous game off with 4 in a row and then hit the perfect game the last game. So 16 strikes in a row. I shot 726 that night. My only 700 series I've ever had in my life. And it was just the right combination of things. It was, the setting, it was the people I was with, the family I was with, the, as I said, the Guinness. That probably helped as well. But it was just one of those nights where nothing went wrong. I mean, I had a few opens, I had a couple splits. I still have the scorecard to this day. I'm going to get that laminated too and get that up on my wall of fame as well. But it was a great night. So when I went when I got my permanent position at Sam's Club, where I was working audit, where I had a normal schedule, where I worked Monday through Friday. My kids were bowling at State Lanes, and I was there, every Saturday with them. Well, one of the people that ran that was like, "You should become a coach." I was like, "No, I'll think about it." So it's scary to me how AI is listening to us. Even back then, to that point, because that day I got an email or a notification, I forget what it was, that there was going to be a free USBC coach certification class done down in Southfield. And I'm like, that's scary. That happened. That came up that quickly. So I, obviously agreed to do it. Went down there, took the class, and USBC actually paid for my test for certification to be a certified coach. So, yeah, while I was USBC sanctioned, I was a USBC certified coach. Can I still teach you bowling? Yes, but I'm not sanctioned to do it. I'm not certified to do it. But because of that, I got to teach a lot of young people bowling. And some older people too. I dated a girl last year, and I taught her a couple of things when we went to bowl. Uh, it's just in my blood to give back and to kind of do that for others. So I did that for several years, and got to know a lot of the bowling community. I served on the Saginaw Bowling Association's board for several years as well. Like I said, I married into a bowling family, so bowling kind of became a thing for our whole family. Well, it comes around that the high school coach for Swan Valley had to go to a wedding in Indiana, and he was going to miss one of the matches. And he's like, "Can you fill in for 1 week?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, not a problem at all." And so I get there that Saturday, and he's like, "Hey, guess what? The coach for the girls' team has to have surgery. He's going to be off for a few months. Would you mind coaching the girls?" Wow, what a moment. What a moment. So, yes, I absolutely accepted. And those next 3 years, because I coached them for the next 3 years, became some of the greatest memories in my life as far as athletics go. It wasn't about me, it was about the girls. There's one team in our division I always wanted to beat, Bullock Creek. Don, if you're or yeah, if you're watching this, wow. Yeah. Um, they were always ones I wanted to beat. Never beat them. Came close a few times. My oldest, Elizabeth, she had one of her best games bowling and lost to a girl that beat her because she had one of her best games bowling. And I felt so bad for my daughter in that game. That was up in Standish. She, yeah, she just she knocked it out of the park that day. She bowled so well, and I felt so bad that she lost her match against the girl she was bowling against. But what can you do? But I really brought several of those girls to another level of ability. And to the point where I got thank you cards from a couple of them thanking me for what I had taught them, for what they had learned from me, for my patience with them. I never yelled at them. There were 2 times that I remember having to do the sad dad face with the entire team. One in particular, we were hosting a home match, and I know this is going to be a long video because I see it's already at 39 minutes. There was a home match where we had a bye for the first match. So I had everybody up and bowling, and I don't know if you know anything about high school bowling, but you do your Baker matches first, which is where you have one person bowl the first frame, another person bowl the second frame, and so on and so on. Neither group hit 100 in that match. I had them sit down around the ball return. I sat on the ball return. And I did the sad dad face to them. And I said, thank God we were not bowling against anyone, because we would have lost. I am embarrassed. I'm disappointed. After that, they picked it up. They came back with a vengeance. But sometimes in our life, you need to hear that. You need to hear, I'm disappointed, I'm embarrassed. Pick it up. That goes beyond sports. That goes into management as well. I've I've had my fair share of what I call back to Jesus talks. And it helps. It gets you refocused. It's embarrassing to get one, but there are times in your life where you need one. So, anyway, trying to think if there's anything else in sports related. Well, there's a lot of things sports related I could talk about, but that can come later. But this was kind of my rundown of what I've done sports wise. Not everything, but a good percentage of my life. The thing like I said, the thing I'm most proud of was coaching those young girls. That was one of my happiest memories. I've filled in occasionally when I can at regionals to help out as well, to help others as well. And I've seen some amazing things. Zoe, if you ever watch this, you're the 5-pin sliding over to the 10-pin position. To this day, I will never believe that actually happened. Especially after you left like 3 10-pins in a row before that. No, I just there are so many good memories out of that time, and I just I miss my girls. I miss the ones I coached. We had a great camaraderie. We joked around a lot. I very rarely had to get on them about anything. I would joke and then coach. I would joke and then coach. There is a way to do it that they're going to receive it better than yelling at them, than downgrading them, than telling them you did the wrong thing. No, you make a joke about it and then you correct it. It's what I want to call it, the corrective sandwich. I guess that's the best way to say it. You give a compliment, you correct, and then you laugh. Corrective sandwich. Wow. I've just come up with a new term. I'm going to start using that at work. So, anyway, this has been a long video. I'm sorry for that, for those that are watching. But there was a lot that I could talk about today that I really, really needed to. Well, watching sports and that. Um, Being a Michigan fan right now, any team in Michigan right now, Broncos, Wolverines. We got 2 national championships now, uh, in hockey and in gymnastics. I know that gymnastics is not going to get as much love, but I'll tell you, it's a good time to be a sports fan in Michigan. The Pistons, the Tigers, the Red Wings, even though they didn't make the playoffs, the Lions. It's just a good time to be a sports fan in Michigan. It really is. We're pulling a lot our way with things. So, all right. Well, as you know, hit the subscribe button, hit the alert button, ring the bell, so you know when I'm doing more of these. But apologize, this one was so long. I didn't think it would be, but thank you for tuning in, and we'll talk later.